Have you ever been killed by a cursed thrall and asked yourself, man, I wish I could do that? Introducing the latest from TDT Labs, the Martyr Lock, a build designed around making you into an improvised explosive device as frequently as possible. Today, I do not bring you a false promise of a Destiny 2 build so good it cured cancer and solved world hunger all in one evening. Instead, I promise you something better. Fun. If you're a fan of fun, stick around to the end to get all the details. If not, you disappoint me, please go away. The nuclear power core of our walking thermonuclear bomb is the Weave Walker aspect, obtainable if you have the Lightfall expansion and for a quick stop at Nimbus. This allows you to convert your melee energy into a shroud of strand armor that reduces all incoming damage by a whopping 90% at the cost of disallowing you to interact with the world or use any offensive tools. In PvE, enemies will lightly ignore you, similar to how if you were to use invisibility on something like a Void Hunter, so it's a good escape or repositioning tool. In PvP, not only will you have people breaking down your door to explain to you how overpowered this aspect is, but you also have to be careful that you're in a safe place in order to leave your weave walk, as you will be locked into an escape animation for a solid second, leaving you vulnerable for punishment. In other words, generally the way to counter this aspect is when someone chases you. So I got to thinking, what if I chased them instead? What if I reprogrammed the collective hive mind that seeks to slap my cheeks when I leave my safe space to instead fear an explosive repercussion? What if I became a walking, talking, taunting suicide bomb enemy just like the Cursed Thrall? What if I used the Vesper of Radius? While mostly designed for the Arc subclass, the Vesper will pulse out damaging waves of Arc energy whenever you cast your Rift. And do you know what else you can do with your Weave Walk? Instead of pressing the Alt movement button again to leave your Weave Walk like a boring person, we can leave this... They're coming for me. We can leave this 90% damage resistance mode by casting our Rift, effectively allowing us to nearly uncontestably approach and explode into Arc energy anytime we have our abilities up. But even the lowliest of PvE enemy bosses will survive a blast from the Vesper, so we need to strap a few sentient explosive chihuahuas to our chest, which the game weirdly refers to as threadlings. With the Weaver's Call, whenever we pop our Rift, we will deploy the population total of Ghana at our foes with a horde of plus-sized New York rats whenever you cast a Rift.
Woe, threadling be upon ye.
This pads out our damage and makes those stray threadlings we acquire in our Weave Walk go out and get a job, those damn deadbeats. But I want my explosive Jolly Ranchers to have some serious sour punch, which is why we immediately equip the Thread of Evolution for better threadling range and damage. Now, let's focus on getting our repeating gender reveal party to come up as frequently as possible. Monte Carlo recently got a catalyst that I still don't have. But that won't stop us. Monty still allows for rapid melee regeneration for our Weave Walks, and if we ever need to pivot and make our primary weapon deal more damage, we can expend one of those melee charges we have acquired to snag a kill for the Markov Chain X5. As for our Rift, thankfully the Vesper has already got us covered. Whenever you're near enemies with the Vesper, our Rift recharges significantly faster. It's quick enough that if you have about, let's say, a bar and a half of your melee, you'll be able to get a full charge back on your Rift for a quick jalapeno jack-in-the-box surprise for your enemies. So those are the basics, but we here at TDT Incorporated demand only the dumbest from our builds. So by God, we are going to make this build worse. As a gentle reminder to the people at home, we are trying to have fun. We aren't making the next build that plays the game for you. Fun. While you're here, hit the subscribe button too. I will be playing and featuring subscribers on this channel, and it might be you. Anyways, we want fun, so let's turn ourselves into a better tank than the Titans. This is the Ecliptic Distaff. It's a glaive you could earn from a few seasons ago ritual weapon. It's not really anything extraordinary, but it rolls with Replenishing Aegis, which reloads our glaive as we block damage and close to melee for bonus melee damage off of glaive projectile kills. There are other glaives with similar combos, but the idea here is that because we are often leaving our Weave Walk in a Rift, we can play the main tank to our own support tool and become a practically unkillable machine with the glaive's staggering 90+% damage resistance while standing in a healing rift. We can even keep putting shots on enemies with our Replenishing Aegis perk, which is neat. Now for our heavy, I decided to be a little bit of a silly guy and run the Zephyr. Yeah, when's the last time you've heard of this sword, eh? In case you need to be caught up, this medieval talking stick is a stasis sword with the unique perk Cold Steel, which grants our sword swings a stasis slow. Legitimately wonder why this is our only sword we ever got with this. I think there might have been like one more, because it's very unique and I'd imagine pretty useful. This is far from optimal, but like I said, fun over function, yeah? At the very least, you do get the added benefit of a better ability to deal with overload enemies from the slowing, but feel free to substitute whatever you'd like. I'm not your dad. Yet. Fragments took a bit of debating, but our scientist eventually landed on Thread of Isolation for a severing effect from rapid precision hits with our Monty, Thread of Fury for even more ways to loop our melee regeneration off of tangle hits, and Thread of Evolution for the people who skipped to this point in the video and missed when I said it earlier. This combination of fragments grants us a solid tool, a solid basis for crowd control, something this build is definitely aiming to do, while still propping up our funny nothing personnel martyrdom stunts. I wanted to lean into the unique situation offered by this build, so instead of the traditional heavy focus on ability regen and armor charge for weapon bonuses and such, I went for things like distribution and dynamo for better super regeneration, being that we will obviously be popping our rips right on top of enemies anyways. To round out our class item mods, I decided to go for outreach for obviously more melee energy, and the Reaper mod for orbs of power when I pop my rip. For boots, mods to try are the orbs of regeneration mods like insulation, invigoration, and absolution, with maybe a mix of surge mods. You will basically always have an orb on hand, assuming there's enemies nearby, so why not reward yourself? For chest, I ran emergency reinforcements to even further remind the Titans that Warlocks are the better tank, and Lucent Blade for more sword regeneration and better Glaive Shield energy regen. If this is not your playstyle, go for something more standard. Lastly, my gauntlets I kept extremely basic and just ran 2 melee kickstart mods. I'm a simple Warlock. I want to stay untouchable for as much as humanly possible. Now, let's talk tips. Let's also talk about some suggestions on how to best optimize this build to your fullest potential. You might find it a tad odd that I decided to run grapple with this, as it seems pretty contrary to the power fantasy this is clearly going for. But I found out if you cancel the momentum of a grapple with a weave walk activation, you can basically slingshot yourself into the backline of enemies while you are practically indestructible, and you're also primed to detonate into a swarm of angry green beans with arc energy. It's perfect. Lastly, this build in PvP will really struggle at ranged combatants, so likely swap over to an energy sniper and that will fix your problems. This works pretty well in both PvE and PvP. Remember, it's not gonna cure cancer for you, it's not gonna be the one and done fix all build for you, but I promise you, it will be fun. And I'm having a lot of fun with this, and I hope you do too. Subscribe for more genius stupidity. Bless your faces, and deuces.